Today on Hazel Motors.
Things are getting cagey.
Hold on. Before we get to the cage, there's been some other developments involving this truck and off-roading.
Yeah, so you may or may not be familiar with the magazine that's now largely gone online, Four Wheeler. They do something every year called the Ultimate Adventure, and what they started doing last year is a version of it called the Overland Adventure. Basically the same thing, but overland oriented, not the drive long distances, bash the truck against rocks and see what doesn't break, but similar vein. 4 days, 3 nights out in Arizona, and we got invited because of this truck. So crazy excited. Never done anything like this before. Never thought I would have ever gotten the chance to do something like this. So that's what prompted the cage. It's been on the list for a while, but now it really needs to be there. Also on the list was fix the fuel tank.
Add a winch.
Add a winch if I could maybe find one, and well, I found one. We'll show you some footage of it up close, but this is the first bumper I have ever made in my life. I think it came out really well.
I agree.
We used as thick of materials as we could for the winch plate and the arms. We got like 1/2-inch arms connecting to the frame and 10 bolts holding it together. So it should be good. But yeah, that was the big change so far.
We'll get back to the cage and show you that. But stay tuned for updates from Overland Adventure. So along with the bumper that Joe built being a first, this was our first cage that either of us had ever attempted to build. So I purchased a JD squared tube bender early in 2020 when we thought Easter Jeep Safari was going to happen before, well, you know, COVID happened. So to start the process, we made base plates that tie the cage into the body of the Jeep. We used a 1/4-inch steel plate. We drilled 4 holes in it for the bolts. The plate would be bolted to the floor on the interior side, and then on the exterior side, another matching plate, also with 4 holes, would sandwich the floor, and then that plate would get tied into the actual frame and the sliders, and that would, of course, prevent the cage from just punching a hole in 50-year-old sheet metal floors. For this project, we used 1 3/4 DOM tubing with an 1/8-inch wall thickness, and that's used for all the pieces. We started with the main hoop and the shoulder bar. One great advantage of the M715 being a convertible is that you can just take off the roof and gain easy access to put the tubes in and out while you're fabricating. In a future episode, we will be building a roll bar for my track car, which has very small door openings, and I'm sure much cursing and struggling will likely ensue. So with the main hoop bent, we measured for the shoulder bar and used the tubing notcher to cut the angles and the notches so it had a really nice fit up. At that point, the bar and foot plates were then TIG welded onto the main hoop, and this was kind of our stopping point for the first night since we had a late start. We got back at it in the morning and worked on the forward and down bars. After measuring about 500 times, I'd say, we finally bent the first bar and tweaked it a few degrees here and there until we finally had the fit we wanted. And then we just repeated that for the second side. We used the notcher and made our cuts for the back and forward bars. And then we cut down some straight pieces and once again notched the ends of those. Those run above and below the windshield. So the way the cage is designed with the front legs, they kick forward a little to provide easier entry and exit and more foot room. This meant, though, when we put the front section in and it was welded to the main hoop, the cage would no longer be removable. Even though it was technically bolted in, it would be stuck in position. At this point we had the forward running bars and the windshield frame bars cut out. We fit them all together and then tack welded them while they were clamped to the main hoop. From there we could work on some other parts. There were still a few pieces we wanted to add. We didn't want it to be wide open in the center of the roof, so we contemplated doing an X across the top, but came to the conclusion that it would put pieces too close to our head. Joe is 6'2", and the seats on the Jeep are pretty tall, so instead we went with this V shape. It still covered a lot of the roof and left plenty of space for our heads, so we wouldn't hit our heads on the bars. This provided intrusion protection on the top and added a little bit of extra strength. Once the position of these were finally settled on, we removed that whole piece from the car and decided to weld the whole front section in the garage. This made it much easier to get to all the sides of the joints. With the front piece stuck together, the final step was to bolt the front section and the main hoop in, and then to weld them together permanently. Once stuck together, it was just a coat of paint and some SFI rated padding, and we were good to go. Overall, we are really happy with how the cage and the bumper turned out. We will likely add some extra gussets and triangles in the future, but at the end of the day, this is an overland rig and not a rock bouncer, so hopefully we will not put ourselves in an extremely risky position while out on the trail. I hope you enjoyed following along with the cage build. Stay tuned for a video of our shenanigans and the fun we had from Overland Adventure. So until then, thanks for watching.